everyone, and welcome to our first Innovation Networking Workshop. Prior to starting our event, a special thank you to EuroCC, MKR, and Digin for supporting us at this event, and of course our partners at CARI and KEVE. The purpose of this workshop is to initiate a collaboration between the Institute's researchers and Cypriot companies that are actively involved in applied research and innovation, with the ultimate goal of creating synergies and meaningful partnerships. Our agenda today includes a couple of welcome notes, the presentations from the directors of each center, then the speed networking event, and at the end we'll have our lab tours. Now, to begin our day, I would like to ask to the podium Professor Stavros Malas, President of the Cyprus Institute.
Okay, good morning everybody and welcome to this very, very important event for the Cyprus Institute. Let me welcome representative from KEVE and of course all the representatives from CARI. We consider you as the creme de la creme of the research and innovation ecosystem in the private sector. Now, this is a very, very key event, and it will be very many. I will explain you how we want to proceed. As you know, the Cyprus Institute, actually being the youngest research institute in the country, is taking a strategic decision to engage industry in a symbiotic relationship, just in the same way as we engage government, because we receive government support. Now, in doing so, I think it's very important for everybody to know where we stand in the ecosystem and know also our partners where they stand in the ecosystem and take a very, what we call high resolution analysis of the sectors so we can see our strengths and build on it. This is the Cyprus research ecosystem. We have 3 institutions, research institutions, a few centers of excellence established in the last few years. Do we have a pointer? Right. And the Cyprus Institute here, the Cyprus Institute of Neurology, the 2 of them, funded by the state in addition to the Agricultural Research Institute, the public universities, some centers of excellence as single entities, and of course the private universities. There are quite a few coming up. I hope it doesn't backfire, by the way, having too many. So, and this is a 30-year-old ecosystem. Now, if you look in the performance of the private sector, it is clear that there is another ecosystem growing, a younger one and a very strong one in parallel to the publicly funded ecosystem. This is the performance of the private sector, very much equal to academia, and therefore there is a strength there. And we need to build this symbiosis. Usually between academia and industry there is a distance, and that distance needs to be shortened. And we need to create an overlap, and that's what we want to do. Now, we know who are the champions in the academic ecosystem, and these are the metrics in relation to research funding coming from the 7th framework program until Horizon 2020. So clearly, the largest academic institution in Cyprus, being the University of Cyprus, takes the biggest share in terms of money, but the smallest research institution in terms of government support, it's second. And that's where the strength lies, yes? So, and we can see also the back and others coming below with a much longer horizon perspective in terms of their existence. So that picture tells us where the strengths are. And we know who are the champions in this audience. Yes? So having done this high to medium resolution analysis of the ecosystem, we thought that CARI is the #1 partner for us. And this is what we want to do. So now, why the Cyprus Institute? Why are we inviting you here? Well, the Cyprus Institute is the only research-intensive institution in the country. It's the only. The Cyprus Institute of Neurology is a research-intensive but also heavily service provider with a little bit of education. Now, the Cyprus Institute can align, it has the flexibility because of this diversity of science to align its SRA, the strategic research agenda based on local and regional needs. We're talking about a local need here of symbiosis. It can look into international trends and move in science and move swiftly into developing advanced sciences and technology in areas that we think there is high added value. It is the best performer in Cyprus in terms of research output. There's no question about it. And it is, of course, an attractive place for established researchers. But, as we've done an internal analysis, it's a breeding center, it's an incubator for young researchers. And we've seen the last few years, very many young researchers developed from within the Institute to go into a higher caliber. So it has now the maturity, if you like, to move forward in a very extrovert approach. It is also an ecosystem of research infrastructures that have been developed throughout the years. So, and in developing these infrastructures, we know that we also have, and also the human capacity, a social responsibility being funded by the government and a societal to actually engage industry. For those of you that are a little bit of my age, okay, you will remember back in the beginning of the 21st century, when the European Union was slightly different to what it is today, we were all talking about the Lisbon strategy. For those that want to search it, to Google it, okay, it is a strategy developed by the European Commission for the EU to become the strongest economy in the world, to supersede, not China, the United States, they were saying at the time, based on research and innovation. Well, okay, that's kind of been abandoned, but we hope that Cyprus, being in fact the champion in innovation and funding, at least competitive funding, I know we have very many problems locally to develop a mature system yet, but we're on the right track, I hope. So therefore, we have a responsibility as industry, as institution, to come closer. So we need to give access to this institute, to research-intensive SMEs, to hopefully develop a technology hub, to use your expertise to educate our people and our faculty also to be educated, to get closer to industry, and therefore that will impact the economy. You will hear a lot about our infrastructures, but let me just give you a snapshot of some of the metrics of this institution, because it has a massive input in terms of competitive funding. But if you take a stroll down memory lane, and it's a very short stroll, you will see that this institution grew in terms of faculty from a very small number. That's the number of faculty. Now today it has about 32. You all know the size of universities. This institution is actually the size of 2 large university departments. That's the size of this institution in terms of faculty, but the impact is massive. And you can see also here, these very many faculty, which are obviously the initiators of research, are writing a lot of proposals, and they're succeeding in very many of them, in a very high success rate. So it is a good place, and that's the money they bring. Now, they do so having a rather scant, I say, government support. If you look at what the government is chipping in to the support of this institution, the blue line is the money we get. And in 2011, we got the same money as in 2023. Now, you can think of depreciation and deflation and inflation, and then you can do the numbers. So, but nevertheless, the money, the budget grows. So clearly, something is happening here to develop this line, but of course that has also risks. But that's our job to do it. Okay, so this, having built the strength, and essentially the strength of this institute has been built here during this period, now we feel confident and able and having the infrastructures to bring in others to create this symbiotic relationship. So how do we want to do this? Well, there are three different ways we can do this. Of course, we have research centers that they're going to tell you who they are. They're going to develop, to present to you their infrastructures and some of the projects. So we're talking, there is a project basis of collaboration. There is also an institutional basis of collaboration, and that is we have the internal instruments to deal with IPR, and I know that whenever you bring SMEs into an academic ecosystem, they're asking about IPR management, we know that. We have a research support directory that knows a lot about the ecosystem, not just managing projects, but knowing the entire ecosystem. And we want to also develop an industry engagement unit within the institute, because this is how we want to structure our relationship, and we want to bring outsiders in the form of an advisory board to develop it. If you go to any mature institution, has an advisory board to advise on science. We want an advisory board to advise on how we get closer to industry. And of course, we need a mechanism, so we develop an industry engagement strategy. Some of the highlights are here with various activities to enhance this collaboration at all levels, to analyze industry trends, be active all the time, to have outreach activities. This is just a dating event, so we get to know each other and maintain all the time this relationship with the view of actually cultivating a strong relationship with our partners and, of course, with the society. And in doing so, we think we will create a much more fertile ecosystem for young researchers to engage not only in academia, but industry, because that's the way to reverse what we all call the brain drain. So with this introduction, I want to welcome you in this partnership. It's a little cell. I hope it grows into a tissue. Welcome. Thank you. An omission. I want to thank Fabio and his team, okay, and all the colleagues that participated in the organization, Natalie, Annexi, and everybody that has done such a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Maras, for your good words and for the presentation. I'd like now to ask to the podium Dr. Tassos Kounoudis for his presentation for CARI.
Good morning. I would like to thank Professor Malas for the introduction and also the team that organized this great event. Our members and Cyprus Institute already have projects and we foreseen to long-term collaboration. It's very important for us to collaborate with such an institution, and I'm sure that we will have a lot of success in the future. So let's talk about CARI. CARI, the Cyprus Association of Research Innovation Enterprise, or CSEC, if you know them, if you know us with a great name. We have been established in 2010 as an association of GEVE. We are proud members of GEVE. We have around 45 innovative technology companies. That means companies that they have specific criteria. That means more than 10% of their revenue going to R&D, or have a certification of innovative company, or deeply involved in research and development projects. We also have infrastructure. So it's very important for us to find synergies between your infrastructure and our infrastructure. We have more than 30 million infrastructure. We have labs that we can develop technology through the different TRL levels. And we are employers. We employ more than 500 people, 20% of which with PhD. So we are the companies that we are closest to a research institution. We are also called RTOs, Research and Technology Organizations. And since our establishment as organization, as an association, we have benefited the Cyprus economy with more than 500 million euros income from projects and exports of our innovative products. In 2019, we established within our organization the defense cluster, which is actually consists of companies that they are building products for civilian and also defense application. We already had some collaboration with Cyprus Institute in some projects, and this is a new emerging and huge industry, horizontal industry, which can benefit all the Cypriot companies and also can find great applications of innovative technologies that you develop in collaboration with us. I know that you are very active on drones. Recent experience from Ukraine shows that everything is about drones. So we managed to have our members in 17 projects of a total 172 million, which is great. If you consider that we are working together for the development of new defense products or with huge companies. So what we are doing is not only we are companies that we have capacity of doing R&D, but also we see and we are planning, our R&D is planned to produce products that can be exported. So we have research and development, aiming product development, manufacturing. We are setting up manufacturing capabilities. We have our collaborations with European institutions and other companies. We are facilitating technology transfer, and we already also have technology infrastructure. So all these are synergies with the Cyprus Institute. Our companies are focusing in emerging technologies. We have companies that are doing electronics and sensors, robotics, autonomous systems, space, materials, artificial intelligence, even energy. So all these are topics that you're also interested in. We'll see through the workshop how we can set up collaborations and proposals. We are also very proud that it's something that I'm happy to see some very nice figures in Professor Mala's presentation. I can say, and we are very, very proud that our companies contributed significantly in the Cyprus position in Horizon 2020. Without any governmental funding or any support, we managed to bring as much, more or less as much money as the universities. And this is with a lot of work and depended on very skillful employees that we have. So 40.62% of the Cypriot contracts in Horizon 2020 belongs to CARI members, belongs to Cypriot companies, without any support of the government, without any offices for supporting and all this stuff that they are creating, and they are spending a lot of taxpayer money. we brought 116.8 million euros to Cyprus, which goes to the development of new technologies, to the development of new infrastructure, capabilities, and hiring and maintaining highly caliber people. And we are very proud about it. And this continues in Horizon Europe and in other programs. So we'll be delighted to join forces with the most established institutions like yours in order to facilitate more projects. In following through our life as an association, it's not easy because we facilitate change. When we started, nobody was talking about innovation, nobody was talking about research and development in the companies. It was science fiction. Now everybody talks about innovation, and a lot of the changes that we see today are facilitated through the interventions, many times with hard feelings, but we have to change things. We facilitate and we convince our Ministry of Defense to support dual use, support, let's say this is an example of the defense industry, which is innovative industry, and we managed to put Cyprus in the map of the European defense industry, which is actually developing new technologies. And by bringing and have this success of €1 spent, bringing 17. And this is very important when we're talking about statistics, because Research Promotion Foundation, with all this amount of money that they spend, bringing out 3 or 4. So it's very important to see the return of investment. As business, we see the return of investment. So we have, and very proud to have 3 of our companies. They are here. In the top performing SMEs of Europe with contracts of European Defence Industrial Development Plan. We have excellent collaboration with MOD. Then we continue with EDF with new projects, and this is something that is growing and something that certainly we will have collaboration. Some more than 10 billion will be available for R&D in this domain, which is a subdomain of the whole R&D interest of our companies. We are organizing always with collaboration with GEVE, various workshops. So we are very happy to co-organize this or participate in this event, which are highly impact. We don't have the time to just organize events for the sake of the event. So we want to have success stories. So we organize Cyprus Greece Industry Days. This came up with 6, 7 new projects, European Defence Industrial Development Plan, some hundreds of millions of euros for Cyprus. We also organize events that they are helping the diplomacy. Industry Day with Israel and Greece. Workshop, these are to bring the end user with the companies at GEVE. And we'll also organize Cypriot pavilions with no any governmental funding, with our own money, to showcase innovative product of our members in international conference. You've been to the fair, you've seen us. I hope next time to have some joint products or some joint technologies to showcase. It's very important for us that we participate and we fully support. I think this is more or less to get to know each other event, but we've seen further and strengthening the collaboration of our members with Cyprus Institute. And together we can influence change so as to enhance this kind of collaboration, which is new, is already innovative what we are doing now. And thank you very much, especially for this great initiative, and also thank you very much for this great organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kounoutis. Yes, we believe that there are synergies, and our collaboration will create impact to the society in general. Now I would like to ask Mr. Marios Chakis to address the audience.
Professor Malas, ladies and gentlemen, let me apologize from the outset to the non-Greek speaking audience that my welcoming address was prepared in Greek. But before going to this, I would like to make a comment to what Professor Malas has said in the beginning, that we are the Chamber and the CARI Association, la crème de la crème of innovation and research. I would say that thank you very much, Professor Malas, but if there is anything going on top of crème de la crème, then this is the Cyprus Institute, and we have to be very, very proud for this institution as Cypriot. And I thank you very much for your comment. Είναι πραγματικά με ιδιαίτερη χαρά που αποδέχθηκα ως ΚΕΒΕ την πρόσκληση να απευθύνω το σημερινό χαιρετισμό σε αυτό το πραγματικά πρωτοποριακό εργαστήριο. Το ΚΕΒΕ δίνει τεράστια σημασία στην ανάπτυξη της καινοτομίας στον τόπο μας, αφού αποτελεί έναν τομέα που όχι μόνο εξυγχρονίζει τις επιχειρήσεις και ευρύτερα την οικονομία μας, αλλά αποτελεί και πόλο έλξης για νέες επενδύσεις, με στόχο την επέκταση και διεύρυνση σε νέους τομείς οικονομικής δραστηριότητας. Το ΚΕΒΕ βλέπει την καινοτομία ως τη δίωδο που μπορεί να οδηγήσει τις επιχειρήσεις μας σε μια νέα διάσταση, όσον αφορά την αύξηση της παραγωγικότητας και της ανταγωνιστικότητας τους. Σε έναν κόσμο που μεταβάλλεται και εξελίσσεται διαρκώς και με ταχύτατους ρυθμούς, ως αποτέλεσμα της εκτεταμένης και εντατικής αξιοποίησης της παραγόμενης γνώσης, αλλά και την πρόοδο της τεχνολογίας, δεν μπορούμε να παραμένουμε απαθείς και προσκολλημένοι σε πρακτικές του παρελθόντος. Θεωρούμε λοιπόν ότι το ερευνητικό έργο που γίνεται από το Ινστιτούτο Κύπρου και τα μέλη του Κυπριακού Συνδέσμου Έρευνας και Κοινοτομίας που λειτουργεί υπό την αιγίδα του ΚΕΒΕ αποδεικνύει τις δυνατότητες της χώρας μας και των ανθρώπων της να καινοτομούν και να πρωτοπορούν. Γεγονός που αξίζει να τύχει πολύ καλύτερου χειρισμού προς όφελος των επιχειρήσεων και της κοινωνίας συνολικά. Διαχρονική θέση του ΚΕΒΕ είναι ότι η ερευνητική εργασία που γίνεται δεν πρέπει να περιορίζεται μόνο στη βασική έρευνα, αλλά θα πρέπει να συνδεθεί με τις επιχειρήσεις και την πραγματική οικονομία, ώστε να υπάρξουν συνέργειες και συνεργασίες που οδηγούν σε εμπορεύσιμα προϊόντα και υπηρεσίες. Οφείλουμε λοιπόν όλοι να δούμε την έρευνα, την καινοτομία και την τεχνολογία ως το τρίπτυχο που μπορεί να μας οδηγήσει σε ένα νέο μοντέλο οικονομίας, πιο σύγχρονο, πιο λειτουργικό και πιο αποδοτικό. Έχουμε τους ανθρώπους, έχουμε τις δυνατότητες και τα μέσα για αυτές τις επιδιώξεις και από εμάς εξαρτάται η αξιοποίηση τους. Το σημερινό εργαστήριο αποτελεί μια εξαιρετική πρωτοβουλία να διασυνδεθούν οι φορείς παραγωγής της έρευνας και της καινοτομίας με τις επιχειρήσεις και τους ανθρώπους της πραγματικής οικονομίας, ώστε είτε οι ιδέες που αναπτύσσονται από τα ερευνητικά κέντρα, είτε οι αναζητήσεις των επιχειρήσεων για καινοτόμες λύσεις και προϊόντα να βρουν διέξοδο στην αγορά. Θέλω ειλικρινά να ευχαριστήσω το Cyprus Institute και το Σύνδεσμο για τη σημερινή εκδήλωση και είμαι βέβαιος ότι θα συμβάλλει προς αυτή την κατεύθυνση και να ευχηθώ κάθε επιτυχία στις εργασίες τους. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chakis. So, building on the knowledge of pioneer scientists and researchers like Pythagoras, Newton, and Curie, the research community of our institute expands to more than 200 researchers with 5 centers of research that are always striving for excellence. Let's welcome to the podium Professor Fadi Komer, Director of our Energy, Environment, and Water Research Center.
Thank you, Natalie, for your kind presentation. Good morning. I'm delighted to present to your esteemed association our recent research that was produced by our center, the Energy, Environment, and Water Research Center. So our center is a regional research hub between the West and the East, and we promote energy research, we promote climate-neutral urban regeneration, water-climate diplomacy, integrated water and natural resource management, and we promote also the nexus education, energy, water, and environmental education at EWRC. So we are organized into two major departments. The first department is the water department, and the second department is the energy department. The water department is based on integrated water resource management with three major research components. The first one is the hydrology and the ecosystem. Second one is the economic and the environmental analysis. And the newest one is hydrodiplomacy with the technical process, the institutional process, and the diplomatic process. And then the energy department, we have three major research groups: sustainable built environment, energy planning and analysis, and the advanced renewable energy system. So let's start with our energy department. We have the major research facilities, which is Proteas, and Proteas is linked to very important laboratories that you can see in this slide: the thermal energy storage laboratory, the desalination lab, the instrumentation and control lab, and the Atalasa heliostat testing facility. So Proteas, as our president has presented, is a solar research facility, and now we are shifting to make from Proteas a nexus research facility by combining energy, water, and food security. So this is Proteas facility. It's an aerial view of Proteas. We have several energy generation fields. The first one is the heliostat field. The second one is the wind turbine. And we have solar Stirling dishes. All of these energy research captation field are directly linked to the solar tower. And this is how we produce desalination, because we have desalination units. So Proteas is the largest research infrastructure in Cyprus and one of its kind for the EMI country, Eastern Mediterranean and Middle Eastern countries. It's very useful also as an engineering toolkit for the Gulf country, because we are producing desalination water from renewable energy with zero footprint, carbon footprint. So we work on concentrated solar power, CSP. We have a multi-renewable energy source, as you have seen in the aerial photo. We also produce renewable desalination and brine management. Very important to work also on the research for brine management. The energy storage through heat and batteries, the microgrid and off-grid schemes, and automation and smart control system. Proteas also is an educational facility. We are giving access and training to international researchers, students, and part of several EU research network, and we give also services to the industry. The second energy research feature that we have is a linear Fresnel reflector. It's installed in this building, and it gives also the cooling and the heating system to the NTL building, the building where we are going to move for starting the dialogue with the industry. So linear Fresnel reflector is the first linear Fresnel reflector in Cyprus. It was commissioned in 2016 under very important RIF project, STS Med project, and it supplies, as I told you, heating and cooling to the NTL building with the help of an absorption chiller. And the thermal energy storage, and this is the main feature, is that we can, for 4 hours, store heating, and also for 2 hours store cooling. So we have also in Fresnel, it's part of 6 extra EU co-funded projects. We have made 12 scientific publications from this research feature, and we can supply to the industry up to 400 degrees Celsius of heat. So the first, in fact, target that we are developing actually is the storage, heat storage at CYI, because it's a central research thrust, heat storage. So storage of energy is the concept, main concept of Proteas facilities. I hope that you can visit also Proteas. The storage in the thermal tank with the molten salt, it's a new technology that we are developing, and also hybridized with batteries. We have also developed the thermal storage charge either with concentrated solar heat or electricity, the Carnot batteries. And we have long duration storage that we are developing through the hydrogen and hydrogen derivatives. And also we are working on desalinated water that can act also as a storage medium. These are our main research thrust for the energy storage. Renewable-driven desalination, very important research thrust also for CYI and for our center. Through the hybridization of desalination process, the brine treatment is a major issue for the environment. This is why we are developing Proteas to be a nexus facility research, so with zero liquid discharge from the brine treatment. And we are also working on a selective recovery of the minerals. These are the labs and the features that are related directly to Proteas, the desalination units and the solar tower. So our ongoing project, we have a major EU-funded ongoing project as the CEFRA 3, the Nano for CSP. We have national ongoing projects which are under the RIF financing, also very focal project, and the Smart Helio project. And also we have a service provision through storage, which is the hybrid storage, hybrid integrated with multi-RES energy production. The collaboration with the Cypriot industry are at the local level technical and scientific advisors, for consultant, research partner. Also for the European Union, we are testing and operating several prototypes and demo units, testing, operating, validating, and characterization of component, information exchange. And at the international level, we are testing and operating of prototype, demo unit, testing also validation of several components, and we are giving technical and scientific advice for the consultants. So in Cyprus, we are working with the Cyprus Solar Thermal, with Karamondani Desalination Plant, with the Solex Cyprus Services, Energy Intel Services, and Novatex Solution. On the European level, we are working with Concentrating System, Blue Solar, and Suncom. And on the international level, we're working with the Trevi System, very well known for desalination unit, Otka Renewable Energy Technology, and Maple Solar Solution. Pioneering innovation with CYI started in 2013 with Professor Papanikolas, energy team, and we are developing all the research in order to target 2025 for planned IPS, smart, modular, adaptive optics, heliostat for CST application. Now, this is a recapitulation of our research for the energy, and we will pass to the water sector, water department. So we have three major research areas in our hydroecological observatories. The first area is the rain-fed agriculture. The second area is the irrigated agriculture, and the third area is the forest in Atalasa. So in these major axis, what we are doing is measuring a lot of components of the water as CO2, HO2 fluxes, the soil moisture, the erosion, and also we are measuring for the forest of Atalasa, the sap flow, transpiration, the throughfall, the soil moisture, and of course, in the three major axes, meteorology. We are following very closely the meteorology in this area for climate change purposes and also linked to the agriculture also. So we are using the IT application for this natural resource management through several companies in Cyprus, such as SI Gen, the modeling flood extent that we have also modeled major cities in Cyprus for extreme event with some other companies as IACO Ltd, using also the very powerful tools of our CareC Excellence Center of Excellence, in order to draw maps, high resolution soil map for Cyprus using the CYI high performance computing facilities that you are going to visit also in the day. So the impact from the research that we are doing at the water department, it impacts directly the agriculture by labeling the quality of the agriculture through several projects that we are managing, and it concerns also the Troodos Mountain products, as you see in this slide. Also the medicinal aromatic plant for the Troodos Mountain, and also the industry production from the agriculture, such as the technology and innovation for processing and extending the shelf life of our mountain product. So why trusting EWRC? Why trusting CYI? Well, we have worked, as you have seen, since 2013. We have walked the path in the water, in the energy department, from low to high TRLS, and the technology readiness level could be recapped into 9 major steps. The first step is the basic observation. The second step is the technology conceptualized, and then the proof of the concept and validation through our research, our hard work, following all these years. Then the fourth step is the partial scale prototype and modeling. We did a lot of modeling for a lot of prototype in our EWRC water and energy feature. Then we start partial scale prototype validation, then full scale prototype field demonstration, full scale prototype in commercial condition, and the final commercial product certification. And the last step is the final commercial product is a bank financeable. So what's our strengths? What can we offer? We can offer first a collaboration, very close collaboration between the industry and the university. It's very important to make this link through a world-class infrastructure, as you have seen, knowledge to navigate external funding from local funding to European funding, modeling of the energy and water process, the vast EU and international network that we have with top research organization in the industries and in the tech transfer, in the placement, secondments, and also the linkage between all this to the industry. Thank you. I wish you a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Comer, for the very interesting presentation. You will be able to discuss further about Proteas with Dr. Georgiou, and also visit the Fresnel at the terrace of this building. I would like now to ask to the podium Professor Michel Menou, Director of the Science and Technology in Archaeology and Cultural Research Center.
Thank you. Thank you, Natalie. So I'm very pleased to present the STARC, the Science and Technology in Archaeology and Culture Center here. So the first mission of STAR-C is to lead the way for science and technology applied in archaeology and in culture for Cyprus and the EME, to concentrate on effective use and development of scientific and technology methods and application to the study of the past, and to enable and support the work of Cypriot authorities, especially the Department of Antiquities and all the cultural stakeholders, such as the church, the museums, and local communities for preservation, protection, and transmission of the cultural heritage to the next generation. And we have to be aligned with Cypriot missions to contribute to the research education in Cyprus and support island transformation into economic and knowledge and innovation. So here in this slide is the different specialties of our center: archaeological science, human archaeology, environmental archaeology, digital cultural heritage, art characterization, and cultural landscape and built environment. So there are more than 26 projects active, mainly founded by the European Community and also the RIF in Cyprus. The research teams put there in this slide is how to understand the materiality and the technique of works of art in order to bring expertise to the cultural stakeholders. The study of ancient materials and technology and sites in order to have another narrative on the different objects which are found in archaeological settlement, to understand how humans lived in the past and what was their environment, the digital transition of the heritage, and we are also developing tools and methods for laboratories, and I will come that in a while. So here are the different instruments. I will not put them in they are here in this slide. One is interesting is Andreas Pita's art characterization. It has been developed thanks to a very successful grant given by Dr. Andreas Pitas. We have also the Biomera platform, which is a development of a microcity system in order to have a micro scanning of in 3D of in X-rays. And we have also the archaeological material science laboratories, also which was developed thanks to a grant by the Leventis Foundation. So here on this slide, I wanted to emphasize that we also are developing specific setups, and this one is a prototype which has been developed here in the Cyprus Institute thanks to the different centers. And this scanner is a combination of two scanners in X-rays and also in the visible in order to have a comprehensive analysis in of here on Trodos church, it's Labadistis. But it has been developed thanks to a PhD student, Raphaël Moreau, but also with a collaboration with a French laboratory, the C2RMF, the Center of Research and Restoration of the French Museum in Paris. And so it's interesting that we are also developing specific tools. For education, we are developing PhD. We are involved with the graduate school for developing PhDs. We have 3 PhDs defense in 2022, but we are also, this year we will have at least 4 PhD defense. And we are also developing, thanks Sorina Amon is here, the master in digital cultural heritage. And we are also involved in that project of Thilo Rerend and Maria Di Comitu, a huge project for Marie Curie PhD student called PLAS for understanding modern plasters and ceramic from the AME. So the sustainability and the further steps is to enhance the portfolio of our laboratory, consolidate our research expertise, update the research laboratory infrastructure, being active in the different projects, expand our network and collaborative networks and partnerships, and especially also not only on the academic area, expand our participation in the EU, and also to, we emphasize that to continue the support and service to the Cypriot stakeholders and support innovation and research commercialization. One of this is and we are very proud of that, is we were able, thanks to the Cyprus seeds here present, and to develop a startup is Artes Art and Characterization, which gives service to the community in cultural heritage, combine highly specialized science-based analysis, digital platform, but also combined with human sciences. So the solution is to integrate these multiple laboratories techniques to characterize and the different works of art. For instance, it started with this interesting painting from Titian, and we were able, thanks to our tools, to authenticate this painting as a real Titian. So the pipeline is the technical imaging, the 3D documentation, the art historical analysis, and the non-invasive analysis. And all this combined gives a report to the owner of the, owner of the work of art. Another example I wanted to emphasize, which is also combined for the future and can be developed for in a broader way, is a Periscope project, which was finalized a few days ago, developed by mainly our colleague Yorgos Artopoulos. And this project is a platform which provides heritage building information modeling in order to give to the different stakeholders possibilities for knowing better what kind of, for the municipalities, builders, and for the gaps identified in buildings. For the town planning and housing department, the researchers, and also for, of course, the owners, and will gives a real impact, cultural and economic, in the Cypriot society. And that I wanted to emphasize that, of course, the Star Sea is not so much aligned with industry, but there are several industries which are, for me, very close to what we can help, is especially the tourist industries. And I think if we, and that's one of our goal and aim, and developed thanks to with the push of Professor Malas, in order to be aligned with Cypriot communities, whatever they are, and to develop our pipeline in the touristic economy. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Professor Menou, for the magnificent indeed presentation. It's very nice to see what you and your team are doing. Now, from analyzing ancient artifacts, we move to artificial intelligence, modeling, simulation, and machine learning. I'd like to ask to the podium Professor Konstantinos Zovrolis, Director of our Computation-Based Science and Technology Research Center, that will present to us the center, and then Dr. Panagiotis Katsampat, to present to us the CYI for the digital transformation of Cyprus.
Thank you very much, Natalie. I would like to welcome you all. It's great to have these events, and hopefully we will have several of them during the next few years. So just a couple of words about me. I'm relatively new here. I moved to Cyprus in January. I started being the director of Castor C. Before that, I spent about 25 years in the US. I was a professor of computer science at Georgia Tech in Atlanta. And I'm here in Cyprus because of the Cyprus Institute, so I'm very grateful for that. So let me say a few things about the center. The center can be described in terms of the tools that we use and also in terms of the applications. So the tools, the methods, I put in the center machine learning because, as you all know, it has really created a revolution in every aspect of science and technology. Even fields that were traditionally not based on data, these days they are data-driven, and this is kind of the core of what computational science is today. Additionally, we have expertise in the center for high-performance computing, high-performance data analytics. We have expertise in simulation, computational modeling, especially multi-scale simulation methods. And several other things. I bring from the US the background of network science. We do a lot of molecular simulations, molecular dynamics, as you will see in a few minutes. The center traditionally was built around computational physics, and of course, that is still going on. Big data analytics, artificial intelligence is, of course, the thing that is now changing everything. Computational fluid dynamics, finite element methods. I will tell you a little bit about that in a minute. And finally, we have a new ERA chair project. For those of you that are not familiar with ERA chairs, this is a European funding instrument that provides about $2.5 million for 5 years to initiate a large research center, essentially, within our center. So quantum computing, of course, it's still in the very early stages, but we will be the first in Cyprus to really have a major effort there. Additionally, the center can be described in terms of applications. Of course, using machine learning, you can do things such as computer vision, you can do automatic segmentation, you can identify objects either from a live video feed or from images. We do a lot of simulation work with materials, new materials, nanomaterials, biomaterials, as you will see in a few minutes. Of course, some of these applications are in the area of bioinformatics with protein structures, drug discovery, climate. We're working also with our colleagues from the CARE-C Research Center. You will hear from them in a few minutes. Social analytics, social networks, again, fluid dynamics, the subatomic structure of materials. This is where the computational physics is important. And as I mentioned before, quantum computing, you can think of it as both a method and an application. We don't plan, of course, to build our own quantum computer. It would take many, many millions to do that. But through our ERA chair, Professor Carl Jensen, we have access to a quantum computer, the IBM quantum computer, actually, in the US. So the center itself was established in 2009. At this point, we are about 7 faculty members, a team of about 30 researchers at all the different ranks. We're very successful in terms of funding for the small size that the center has, with several projects, both international and national. And I mentioned before the ERA chair for QUEST, the quantum computing. There is also an ERA chair at the Center for Computational Science and Engineering, mostly working in the area of materials, the CIMEA project. Additionally, there are several partnerships at the European and international level, as well as we are offering these degrees, master's and PhD in mostly computational science. I should also say that we have a close partnership with the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, NCSA, which is their center for supercomputing applications. They have been instrumental in creating the center and helping the center evolve. Additionally, the Cyprus Institute, as you know, has the largest supercomputing facility in Cyprus. Our biggest machine is called Cyclone. It's a national infrastructure. It's not just for our use and experiments. Anybody in Cyprus can use it. There is a rather straightforward process for applying to get computation time. It's a machine that has both CPUs and GPUs. You can train your machine learning models. You can do your simulations. And of course, Castor-C, the center, is officially the National Competence Center for HPC in Cyprus, right? Together, every country has one or more such national competence centers. And they are funded from a project called EuroCC, which is, by the way, also a sponsor of this event. And my colleague Panayota will tell you in a few minutes about that EuroCC project and how it helps us to interface with the industry and do things with you. And by the way, the computational infrastructure that you see has been used not only nationally, but also in the region for many projects from many different disciplines. Okay, I want to give you just a very brief overview of the kind of research that is happening here and the skills that we have. Again, it's only a small sample to get a basic idea. So the main research that I bring from the US is in the area of neuro-inspired AI, basically getting ideas from how the brain works to design artificial neural networks that behave in a similar way. We have done work in creating efficient neural networks that are basically with much fewer parameters. They are sparse, they are not fully connected networks. We're working very much on interpretable and trustworthy AI. Basically, how can you design networks that you can identify specific modules, as you see on the visual, where every module is responsible for one specific subtask, as opposed to one big black box that you don't know what it's doing. And of course, in the long path towards artificial general intelligence, which is the holy grail for us, we're designing networks and models that can do continual learning. They can keep learning more and more tasks, and they can also do what's called multimodal sensor integration, which all of the different, sensory modalities such as vision and auditory and so on are integrated into a single coherent perception. A lot of work is happening these days, not only from us, but also from other people in the area of generative models and foundation models. What does that mean? I'm sure you all know about the large language models these days. So the way these models work is that you train them at some initial phase with as much data as you can find, unlabeled, for example, as much text as you can find on the web. And you don't need any labels because you're just maybe hiding some words, and you are asking the model to be able to predict what the missing words are. So that allows the model to learn the structure of language, basically. It learns language. And then you can fine-tune the model to do specific tasks, such as translation from English to Greek, or to do classification of text. So this general approach is also what we use in the center. My colleague Michalis Nicolaou has done a lot of work in this direction, where, for instance, they analyze satellite images and data from remote sensing to first create models that are pre-trained for this kind of data, and then you can use these models to actually generate satellite imagery of any modality you want, and also do other downstream tasks such as classification and so on. Additionally, we're applying similar methods, again, in collaboration with KRC, how to do what's called deep down scaling, which means that even though you may be working with a satellite image of very low resolution, say 10, 40 kilometers, you can use machine learning to get this fine resolution. You see the north part of Italy over there. The fine resolution images at the level of 1 kilometer. And we are also very interested in the interface between climate and health. And we're using machine learning models there to, for instance, examine how these tiger mosquitoes, right, how their habitat expands over the planet. And the dire projection there is that within a few years, basically an additional 1 billion people will be at risk of this kind of diseases. Additionally, at the center, there is a lot of work, as I said, in material design with both simulations and machine learning. So a major issue there is how basically you design sensors for pollutants. In order to do that, you need to be able to run simulations between the material of the sensor, say silver, for example, and the pollutants, for example, carbon dioxide. And the interesting thing is that to do those simulations, and this is kind of the amazing thing here, you don't just need atomic level simulations, you need to go down to the quantum level. And this is something that my colleagues here have done successfully. Of course, these simulations are extremely computationally intensive. Another line of work, my colleague Nikos Sava, who is, I think, sitting back there, together with Dr. Andreas Dimou, they focus on, of course, fluid dynamics, and one particular application is the simple problem, simple, quote unquote simple, of wetting hydrodynamics. If you have, for example, a drop of water, how would it actually flow on a heterogeneous surface? Well, if you want to do that, with direct numerical simulations, you would need basically 3 days of computation on 32 CPU cores, right? And my colleagues developed a method that leverages the power of machine learning and neural networks to basically get data from these simulations, train such neural networks, and then use the neural networks to actually make predictions about the underlying fluid dynamics and how these water drops would actually flow. So I just gave you a brief overview. There is, of course, a lot more happening at the center that I didn't have time to cover. I want to say that we're very interested. I mean, coming from the US, as you know, the universities in the US are not ivory towers. We work very closely with the industry. We do startups. We work as consultants for the industry. Our students go to the industry for internships. The industry is coming to us every few months to, talk about their problems, exchange ideas. So there is a mentality that I would like to also bring in Cyprus of working very, very closely with the industry. And we can do that, of course, in many ways. One is, just writing proposals together to get, joint funding. But there is also another way we can collaborate, and that has to do with the EuroCC project, right, which is a major project in our center. And for that project, I would like to invite my colleague, Dr. Panayota Katsamba. She will tell you more about the project. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Konstantin and Natalie and everybody for this great organization. Welcome, everybody. It's great to host you here today. And I would like to follow from our director at Castro C presentation and focus now on the industrial engagement happening in our center and how this is supporting the digital transformation of Cyprus. So my main message for you today is that you can leverage these cutting-edge digital technologies and bring those to your business workflows. And we are here, of course, to support you and partner with you in this endeavor. So whether it is on harnessing advanced computing and engineering simulations, for example, in material design, or it could be optimizing the manufacturing and industrial processes in your companies, or leveraging the impact of high-performance computing to speed up the efficiency of your software, or it could be really on extracting value out of your business data, and we can support you in the data management and building high-performance data analytics, leveraging on your business data, as well as building AI and machine learning solutions, as well as bespoke mathematical models and algorithms, as well as building visualization on top of these business analytics. And in fact, we have 3 flagship projects to support our industrial engagement with you. So EuroCC is our flagship project supporting our operations as the National High Performance Computing Competence Center. We are also privileged to lead as coordinators the European Digital Innovation Hub for Cyprus, and we have a dedicated project called CIMEA on engineering applications through really detailed modeling and simulation techniques. Of course, as a center, we're always happy to partner in pursuing joint research proposals and projects. However, through these dedicated projects, we can provide technical training, secondments, internships, as well as embark together on proof of concept projects, as well as in general support, knowledge transfer activities, and consultation. Okay, let me talk you through these 3 projects. So EuroCC, which is sponsoring this event, is funding all our activities as the National Competence Center in High Performance Computing. And we have now entered the second phase of EuroCC. We had a very successful first 3 years. And in January, we have started EuroCC 2. This is part of a big umbrella pan-European project called Euro-HPC Joint Undertaking, involving over 30 countries at the European level. And EuroCC aims to bring this extrovertness and engagement with both industrial, governmental, and research partners to really deliver the promise of high-performance computing and high-performance data analytics. Okay, in practice, how would our journey together would be through EuroCC? Well, we first pay really close attention and listen to your business needs. What is your technical level currently, and where are you wishing to get to? And then we decide together on the way forward. So this could be in the form of consultation. So our research engineering team could look at your data, as well as your software, your code, explore this, and then give you guidance on parallelization techniques and how to leverage AI for a makeover of the efficiency of your algorithms. And of course, we'll report in all this as output. or we can also embark together on a pilot or proof of concept project where we together design the project plan, we agree on the scope of work, and we allocate resources, people from our engineering team, to work together with your personnel to co-develop code and models. Okay, a real case success story where this was really came into fruition was with an advanced partner working on AI solutions and the wish to leverage high-performance computing. So we supported them in accessing our high-performance computing facility and gaining computing time on our supercomputer called Cyclone. And we also supported them in using this high-performance computing facility as a testbed to run parallelly massive amounts of experiments to really fine-tune the model architecture for their AI solutions. So this particular example was part of a novel AI image denoiser model using convolutional neural networks. And the result was a really optimized and enhanced architecture of their deep learning model. And this enhanced production environment was released in one of the subsequent versions. So this was a real success story. And I want to switch gears now to talk about also another flagship project, the European Digital Innovation Hub of Cyprus, that we are privileged to lead as coordinators. So the mission of DIGIN, for short, is to accelerate the digital transformation of SMEs and the public sector through the provision of specialized services. And we are privileged to have this strategic partnership of 13 prestigious Cypriot organizations in the fields of high technology, research, and entrepreneurship. You can see the logos down there, and we are privileged to be partnering with GEVE, NOEV, as well as Cyprus on this endeavor. It is a very ambitious project aiming to serve over 500 businesses and public sector entities and train thousands of individuals. And let me emphasize the fact that this is offering free services to SMEs and the public sector. And we're very proud of that proposal, which scored full marks and ranked third best among all European proposals for a digital innovation hub. Okay, and finally, our dedicated project on computational science and engineering applications is called CIMEA, and it can support material design or process optimization for industrial manufacturing processes through detailed simulations. So here, the idea is that you have this really powerful toolbox of detailed simulations that go even into atomistic detail. This is called molecular dynamics, and building through a multi-scale approach, together with computational fluid dynamics and AI technologies, can support material design and industrial processes. So really, high-tech examples include smart and green materials design, such as polymer nanocomposites, nanostructured materials for nanotechnologies, such as pollutant nanosensors, biomedical applications, whereby through these detailed simulations, you can predict protein structure, protein-protein interaction for biotech purposes, and biomolecules for drug design, as well as microengineering applications such as microfluidics and microrobotics. So this is all in a nutshell. We have been very successful with a lot of companies, and let me finish by inviting you to start your journey in really harnessing these cutting-edge digital technologies today, and feel free to contact me. I'll be around all day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Professor Dovrolis and Dr. Katsamba. There are really a lot of opportunities that you can discuss later on with Dr. Katsamba. Now, let's fly a little to the sky and break down into nanoparticles. I'd like to ask to the podium Professor Jean Sierre, Director of the Climate and Atmosphere Research Center and grant holder of the MCARE Horizon 2020 Teaming Project.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm glad to present you the Climate and Atmosphere Research Center, and here we are. So this is a kind of a spin-off of an existing research center, which is the Energy, Environment, and Water Research Center, and which we're operating an Atmosphere and Climate division, which through a teaming process which was very selective with a two-step, engaging at the first 300 competitors, and in the end getting funds for only 14 of them, leading to the establishment of the fourth research center of the Cyprus Institute back in January 2020, the Climate and Atmosphere Research Center. So this teaming project is funded by the European Commission, supported by the Cyprus government, and is lasting now. We are just at the half-life of the project. So the principle of teaming projects is that you are developing a center of excellence and you are getting supported by advanced partners here from Europe, from the Max Planck Institute in Germany, from the University of Helsinki, and from my former institution in France, the Atomic Energy Commission. The objective of the center is to establish a knowledge hub for climate change and air pollution through research innovation, aiming at sustainable development solutions, addressing societal challenges for Cyprus and the Eastern Middle East and the Middle East region. So very much aligned with the current priorities on Green Deal, on climate change, both at national and international level. The way we are structured within our research center is within three research departments. One, which is named Environmental Observation Department, that provides observations by different means, drones, remote sensing technology, satellites observations, to a modeling department, environmental prediction, that is fed by this observation to constrain models and, for instance, provide forecasting of weather, forecasting of air quality, forecasting of dust events, etc. And then we have a third department that is more towards assessing the impacts based on the simulations of the second research department. So assessing the impacts on different economic sectors, on renewable energy, on health, on the ecosystems, environment, agriculture, etc. So these are the three research centers of the center. Now we have the innovation, let's say, horizontal department, which is called the Environmental Technologies Department, which is very specific and maybe more of interest for this meeting, developing different types of technological solutions, drone sensors or simulations, models, or different types of models for the reporting of emissions. So the overall structure and connections between these different departments is basically for us to fill the current gap of observations on air pollution and climate change in the region for a better prediction of the regional impacts using new technologies. Now the KRC is established since January 2020, it's the fourth research center of the Institute. It has currently grown a lot, from 30 back 3 years ago to more than 100 right now, half of them being non-Cypriots. We have now 9 faculty, with 2 professors in the top 2% world scientists as per geoscience statistics. We have now 20 PhD students. It's a major change. Back 3 years ago, we had only 3. So we are very much using a very attractive scheme, which is joint PhD scheme with top universities in Europe to attract talented PhD students in Cyprus. We have 3 advanced partners I presented you before. We are currently operating within infrastructure of 1,500 square meters. We have 5 research labs and as much as 22 tech experts. This is almost half of the tech experts of the Cyprus Institute, so we have a lot of we have a strong component on labs and facilities. I will show you more on spin-off companies. We are successful in a large number of projects, of course. We just got 1 ERC. We are running Horizon 2020. We are coordinating Horizon Europe projects. We are also having connected with Europe, with European Space Agency, calls for satellites validation, etc. Upon the teaming, which of course have brought a lot of money, up to 19 million euro, we are generating revenues through this project of more than 2 million euro per year. This year is a record year with 5 million. And we are generating from products and services about 500,000 per year. I will show you more. And we are, of course, publishing around 100 peer review publications per year, about almost half of them being in the top 10 journals. Now, Research Innovation Trust. So here is basically the profile of which expertise you can find in our center. So we're experts in meteorology, on climate change impacts, on science, and atmospheric modeling, and atmospheric measurement techniques, in aerosol technology, and aerosol air pollution, and air pollution health impact. Now, if you look towards our labs and facilities, our technical expertise is toward environmental chemical analysis, air quality monitoring, construction and use of UAVs, environmental sensors, construction, testing and validation, nanotechnology, data science, computer modeling. In terms of new infrastructure, we will be growing on this campus with a new headquarters for this center that will start hopefully by the end of this year. This will become our headquarters with more than 2,500 square meters, with office capacity of more than 100 staff, with 6 labs, including one that will become a certified test and calibration bench for atmospheric sensors. In terms of our current infrastructure, we are developing complementary to the local air quality network, a comprehensive network of stations that are providing early warning systems for air pollution or dust over the region. And I wanted to explain you how we are building this research infrastructure. We are making this infrastructure being accredited per research, let's say, being part of international networks. But maybe more important, we are very active in bringing funds, currently more than 2.3 million euro for different Horizon Europe, Horizon 20 projects to build in this infrastructure. And this is the way we are building our research infrastructure, being part of networks, being accredited, recognized, certified, but also get funded and supported by, mostly by Europe. Another infrastructure that may be of interest for you is our Unmanned System Research Laboratory. So it's currently a growing facility. I took over this facility back 6-7 years ago. We were just 3, and now there are almost 12 people. They have different profile and technical engineers, mechanical, electronic engineers, software developers, and currently operating different types of drones, because you know that every application requires the development of specific drones for specific capacities. We are also operating a unique private airfield and a permanent airspace above this airfield that is about half an hour driving distance from here in Orunda, where we are testing and developing our drones, and also which is open through European funds for access for testing and validation. And also other labs that we'll be visiting later this afternoon. Example of technological development we are performing with our USRL laboratory. So we have our in-house software to control the UAS, to communicate with peripherals. This is critical because you want the drones to operate as a system. So you want your sensor to communicate with the drones, to communicate with the ground control station. And then with this capacity we have, we can customize the drones and get any types of sensor that will communicate directly to the ground. That is not possible when you buy a commercial drone. Customized sensors and payloads, so very much around different types of application I'm showing you. So leveraging this expertise, this technical expertise in let's say, mechatronics technologies, we are in capacity to miniaturize existing sensors or integrate them in larger systems. We are also developing end-user connectivity so that we can get through cloud real-time observations from the drone during flight operation. Last but not least, we are building our own drones, so not just the software, but the hardware component, customizing airframe design and manufacturing. We are not just doing drones, we are also having an instrumentation laboratory, which is also integrating different types of sensors that you can find on the market, but we are improving them to increase their capacity and their reliability through calibration and validation with our scientific instrumentation. Here, an instrument that is an optical particle counter, that is a dust monitor, that now we are bringing to the market. Other applications that we are doing, partly funded by Cyprus, is using different types of atmospheric sensors that are from the scientific community and integrating them in drones to address current, let's say, urgent needs. I give you two examples, the oil and gas methane partnerships. So all oil and gas companies now, they have to report in transparent way through measurements their emissions of methane. And I think the Cyprus will become more and more engaged in this domain in the future. So we have technologies we are testing with Cyprus Seeds, new technologies to geolocate leaks, but also quantify emissions from methanes. We are also developing technologies in collaboration with other partners to monitor ship emissions. It's a new European directive that now every ship entering in European ports needs to switch to ultra-low sulfur fuel. This is expensive for the ships, but it's good for air quality. Cyprus being, let's say, a world leader in maritime activities, I believe it's very also important for us to partner here and propose these types of solutions. Example of how we have been able to support the government because we are state-funded with our technology. First of all, with the Department of Forest, now we are flying, and again today, we are training staff from the Department of Forest, a small team of UAV pilots, to get trained on the drones we have developed for their needs to monitor the forest of Troodos for any types of fires. So now we are also connecting it to a national, let's say, network, which is called Argos, for enabling the communication between our drones and all different types of ground control centers. Another example of development that we have been doing with Starsea through the SHIELD project funded by Europe, but with the Department of Antiquities, but also with the Cyprus Police, is to develop a drone technology with the vision systems day and night and AI to recognize people overnight. Is for ecological looting applications. So these were examples of technology we are developing within the center currently, leading to 3 spin-off companies. One is called ETEC, in partnership with Fastmatec, which is based in Greece, to develop a new inlets for aerosol mass spectrometry to be in capacity to characterize nanoparticles. Nanomicron, which is more towards the development through nanotechnology of more efficient low-cost sensors to detect pollutants. And Recover, which is more on surface treatment using nanotechnologies. Collaboration with industry. So our objective is to build a local system from research to industry. In fact, this motto I copy-paste from my former employer, CEA, which is a world leader in innovation, which motto is from research to industry. So I've been working 15 years in CEA doing this, and I hope I will continue here in Cyprus. So why we would like to work with industry? First, to form competitive consortia to seek R&D funds. You are a national champion for that. We are as well. I mean, if we are getting together as highlighted by Professor Malas, I think we can go very far. Partnership to enhance the profile of each other, to enhance the attractiveness of the consortium, but also to enhance our visibility within large EU networks. You are part of networks, we are part of networks. Being together, we access the networks of the other, which is very strategic sometimes. To engage in a wider range of call opportunities, usually not open either to industry or academia. I give you examples of forthcoming calls that we would like to engage you in wider area talents or infra calls that we are eligible to go because we are operating a European research infrastructure in Cyprus, being eligible for these calls, which are needed in technology for further operations. EIC and Eurostar, which are more industry calls. Co-creation, co-development of new products and new services of high TRL. I give you some examples of what we have been able to do so far, and we hope to co-create and co-develop things with you. Open research infrastructure to industry. So we have, as you could see, research facilities that we want to transform into technology infrastructure. This is a European concept that is very much promoted, and there will be a lot of forthcoming calls to transfer current research infrastructure to technology infrastructure. What does it mean? It means an infrastructure that is better fit to the needs of the industry. So for that, we need inputs from the industry to know how we will shape our infrastructure to better serve your needs. Example of how you could use this infrastructure in, for instance, subcontracting to us, provision of specialized and customized products or services, integrations, TRL increase through testing and demonstration. New products and services, I've shown you a few of our products and services. Of course, there is a bigger potential to develop all of them with you and transfer them, thanks to you, to the market, and licensing what we are already having on shelves. Last but not least, I think we are good because we have good guys working with us, and I think we have to raise the competitiveness of our staff. So through joint affiliation, I think I have already someone from Adites being affiliated in my center, but we would like to have even more. I think this is a very good recipe I've been using to bring closer industrial partners working with us. And also, of course, and it will be highlighted by Chrysanthia maybe more in more details, training and education opportunities, joint PhDs, secondments, hands-on in our facilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sierre, for the great presentation. As the professor said, you'll be able to see later the facilities and labs described and discuss further with the people of the center. I would like now to ask to the podium Professor Theodoros Zachariadis, Interim Director of Science and Technology-Driven Policy and Innovation Research Center, to present to us the center.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone and welcome to the Cyprus Institute. After all these very impressive presentations, I have a very boring one, but it will be very brief because it has been also a long morning session, right? So this center with this relatively difficult name, Science and Technology-Driven Policy Research Center, was established some years ago, but it is the fifth center which launched operations very, very recently, within less than a year. It was less than a year than it started. The board of trustees of the Institute had decided strategically already 5 years ago to create this center to make the knowledge that is created at the Institute more relevant for the economy and society of Cyprus, so to link better research with policy making, so that we can generate trusted and actionable knowledge that are useful for the economy and the society. This comes at a time where the request for connecting science with policy making is becoming stronger and stronger. This has been emphasized by the European Commission in a very recent communication, but also at the regional level, the Cyprus Institute coordinated the scientific part of a climate change initiative of the government of Cyprus for the Eastern Mediterranean and Middle East region, and this is a unique opportunity to bridge science with policy making in the region for addressing climate challenges. But also at the national level, there is an increasing need for scientific support on issues related to the European Green Deal, to digitization, cultural heritage preservation, and other issues. So in this context, we want this center to be quite unique in the Cypriot ecosystem and to have a twin role as a research center with its own agenda, but also as a policy support unit serving also as a think tank in the country. As a research center, we are developing and want to continue and expand, developing and maintaining techno-economic and mathematical decision support tools that can provide insights particularly to policymakers or more broadly to decision makers, and at the same time training researchers and students to be leaders in policy-focused research. Currently, we are focusing on energy and climate policy, but the point is to expand not only with decision support tools, but also with risk assessment models that could be related to climate risks, but would also be related to risks on cultural heritage preservation, for example, in topics that the Star C director outlined a while ago. And this is regarding our research arm, but also as a policy support unit, we want to become a think tank in Cyprus and the region to support policy making for a sustainable society, especially policy making in topics where the Cyprus Institute's expertise lies, so in topics that are related to science and technology for a sustainable society. And we interact with the other research centers of the Institute, not only by trying to understand the policy implications of the knowledge created by the other centers, but also by communicating and receiving feedback from decision makers, providing feedback to the other centers, perhaps to tailor their research activities in order to respond to specific societal and policy needs of the country and hopefully of the region. The climate change initiative that I mentioned will now start having a policy component where our center wants to be active. The Cyprus Institute had some policy-related work also in the past, for example, through a study that was commissioned by the European Parliament about a decade ago. Currently, we mainly have a framework contract, a long framework contract with the Ministry of Finance of Cyprus to provide scientific support to all relevant ministries on topics related to the European Green Deal and especially to energy and climate policy, but we also have other projects funded by Horizon Europe, the European Commission, LIFE program, and so on. We have contributed to analysis of the government for the impacts, the environmental and the economic impacts of the National Recovery and Resilience Plan, the Just Transition Plan, and so on, but we are also collaborating with international organizations such as the World Bank, the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, but all of this in a context not of being consultants, but we want all this work to be academically relevant and to be published in good or top academic journals. So in this context, our collaboration with industry is, I would say, relatively limited. It is focused on collaborations with energy and environmental consultancies for specific projects or calls for tenders that we are working together. We organize joint events with business associations for capacity building or for workshops for discussion fora. We participate in somewhat more targeted capacity building actions on the green economy for staff of trade unions. In our role as a think tank, we want to have workshops that are relevant or policy or panel discussions that are relevant for the future, having also a foresight arm, you could say. For example, in 10 days, we are having a workshop with business associations, trade unions, and the main governmental stakeholders on the job needs for the green transition. So that's kind of a foresight exercise that we want to launch. And as the more the climate crisis expands, and the more financial institutions, both authorities but also private institutions like banks, are more concerned both with the transition risks but also with the risks of the physical impacts, we have started building relationships with such institutions for provision of specialized information and our modeling expertise. Big consultancies also increasingly want more in-depth studies of energy and environmental issues, and this is also an aspect that we may work on, keeping in mind potential conflicts of interest that we might have by supporting governmental authorities as well. So we are aware of this. Our support for governmental authorities is crucial, but this is a broad overview of what we are doing. I'm at your disposal if you want further clarifications. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Zachariadis. I would like to ask now Dr. Chrysanthia Leondiou, head of our graduate school, to the podium for a brief talk about the school.
Hello from me as well. Good morning and welcome everybody to the Cyprus Institute. It's a pleasure to have you with us. My name is Chrysanthia Leondiou. I am the head of the Office of Graduate Studies and manager of the graduate school, and I'm going to give the presentation on the graduate school. 1 second. So I will start the presentation by giving a few words on the profile and the mission of the school. The Graduate School of the Cyprus Institute was established in 2010, and it's a fully recognized and accredited degree awarding institution of higher education, which offers exclusively postgraduate education at the level of the master's and the PhD. The Cyprus Institute is one of the very few research organizations in Europe and in the world which actually has accreditation to offer postgraduate degrees. Usually research organizations do not offer programs, educational programs. We have this distinguishing feature, and this is very beneficial for our students since it means that they can convert, they can translate the training they received into qualifications. One of the most important characteristics and assets of our programs is that they are fully aligned with the research activities of the Institute. This is because, as I said, the Institute is primarily a research organization, and the programs were designed on purpose to link with the research activities of the Institute. Subsequently, this gives the opportunity to our students to be fully immersed in the research teams of the research centers, and actually, most of our doctoral students are employed under research projects, and through this employment, they are receiving financial support. The mission of the graduate school is to attract and maintain a small cohort of fine young scholars which are fully embedded in the research activities of the Institute in order to become tomorrow's leaders in academia and in the industry. I want to emphasize here that it is within our mission to accept and train a small number of students in order to be able to provide them with exclusive education, meaning hands-on training and personal mentoring. A few words about our educational programs. Thematically, our programs have a strong focus on science and technology, similar to the rest of the Institute, of course, and on interdisciplinarity. So it is a small, polythematic, interdisciplinary school offering research-oriented studies. Our programs focus on thematics that are Europe's and the world's top priorities, for example, climate change, energy, digitalization. And a very important advantage of our school is that we maintain strong research partnerships with leading universities and research institutes from around the world, with which we collaborate on a number of educational activities. For example, the provision of joint degrees, exchange of staff and students, collaboration on common projects, etc. In the table here, you can see the programs that are included currently in our portfolio. Sorry. Maybe this doesn't work. Okay, no problem. We offer currently six programs, 3 at the doctoral level. They were all launched in 2010 with the establishment of the school. The master's programs were launched more recently. Doctoral programs include a PhD in energy, environment, and atmospheric sciences, a PhD in computational sciences, and one in science and technology in archaeology and cultural heritage. Our master's programs include a master's in environmental sciences, one in simulation and data science, and one in digital cultural heritage. You can see from the title of each program, it is revealing that they are fully aligned with the research activities that have been described before by my colleagues. In this table here, you can also see the number of current students and the number of graduates per program. Overall, currently our students are about 100, and the number of our graduates so far are about 70. In terms of our alumni, so far we have 35 doctoral students that successfully completed their studies, out of which 13 completed joint PhDs with other higher education institutes, and we so far have 37 master's graduates. In terms of their employability, we are very proud to say that all our doctoral students find employment immediately after graduation, and all of them are employed in positions which are directly related to their field of studies. In the table here, I show that our graduates can be employed either in Cyprus or abroad, either in academia, but also in the industry. Specifically, about 60% of our graduates are employed currently in Cyprus, which means that it results in a significant brain gain, the training we provide. And about 35% of our graduates are currently employed in the industry. Having shown the most important components of the graduate school, I would like now to proceed with elaborating on our innovation-related activities towards empowering innovation in education. These concern activities that are currently in progress, but also next steps and plans. And they can be further distinguished in activities that mostly relate to innovating education at the Cyprus Institute, which cater mostly to our own students and staff, and those activities that cater to educating for innovation and are applicable also to externals. So in terms of the measures we take towards innovating education at the Cyprus Institute, we have been integrating innovation and entrepreneurship into our curricula. This concerns new courses which are embedded in existing programs, and they are offered internally by staff of the innovation unit. However, we would like now to enhance this element of innovation, and therefore we are ready now to start offering the adjunct industry professorships. These can be offered to people that have substantial business or industrial experience, usually at senior levels of management, and that can fill a very specific and specialized and advanced instructional need in our programs. These people will be offered academic affiliation with the Cyprus Institute, and they will bring tremendous value in our program, since they will bridge the gap between traditional teaching and research methodologies and the application of industry knowledge. They are expected to bring real-world experience into the classroom and a genuine insight into the industry. Our thematic areas at the Institute, and specifically at the graduate school, are directly related to the business world, as you have been seeing today. And these make our programs ideal for introducing this kind of adjunct industry professorships. We can talk about it later on in the next session. Another measure we take towards innovating education at the Cyprus Institute is the introduction of industrial internships. These have been included in our updated master's curricula as a mandatory component of our educational portfolio. They are developed as a leverage of our already existing partnerships and collaborations with private companies, and they can contribute to the technological and industrial exposure of our students. They facilitate the acquisition of knowledge of industry's operations for our students, and they help them develop innovative and critical thinking. And of course, this enables our students to become more competitive when they enter the job market. It is internationally accepted and proven that industrial internships can lead to maximization of the opportunities for employment for students in either the same organizations or other similar ones. Another initiative we took towards innovating education at the Institute is the establishment of doctoral degrees in industry and the establishment of executive doctoral degrees. In terms of the doctoral degrees in industry, these cater to candidates which spend substantial time at a partner from the non-academic sector, the so-called industrial partner. This is a private company, and basically there is a person who plays the role of the co-supervisor from the industry, from the company, who together with an academic supervisor from the Cyprus Institute, shape together, design a program, a PhD program, and a student is admitted to be at the Cyprus Institute to be awarded a degree from the Institute, but shares their time between the company and the Institute. So this concerns, of course, industrially focused research conducted jointly, and it is anticipated that this kind of degrees that have a heavy industrial component also offer fast-track career progression to the mentioned students. In order for such a degree in industry to be implemented, we need to have in place a specific agreement that is signed by both sides, the company and the Institute, and the student as well, and this agreement stipulates all the details that concern the doctoral degree in industry. We so far have one precedent of a successful doctoral degree in industry. This was between the Cyprus Institute and a private company. This company is offshore monitoring. The student is almost close to completion to his studies. It is a very successful doctoral degree in the industry with a lot of practical impact. In a few months, with the next academic year, basically, you are expecting a new student that will be shared between the institute and another private company. This company is Nova Mechanics, and the student will be under the framework of a Marie Curie project. So one opportunity to collaborate on something similar would be the provision of external scholarships by private companies to students that are admitted at the Cyprus Institute Graduate School, either in a master's or in a doctoral program, and this can also contribute to the CSR of the company, and this is something we can also discuss later during the next session. Now, in terms of executive doctoral degrees, this can accommodate professionals that have positions that are typically relate to their field of studies, to the program that they want to be enrolled. The academic, of course, criteria cannot bend. They are the same as for our conventional programs. However, we provide a more flexible path in terms of timelines and duration. In terms of the Students' Innovation Awards, these were introduced last year in an effort to further instill the innovation culture within the Institute, and the whole concept is to reward the most promising ideas that emerge from the research and scientific work of students at the Cyprus Institute. These awards support proof of concept activities, and last year's Innovation Awards were provided to 3 students. I show their pictures here. 2 are at the doctoral level and 1 at the master's level. All 3 students received a monetary award for the development of their proposed project. And again, here we see another opportunity for a company if they want to sponsor a Student Innovation Award in order to co-develop a product with the Cyprus Institute. And in terms of engagement and success stories, we have a few students so far that have been members of the spin-offs of the Institute and have joined the efforts of our research teams for this very important innovation initiative. Of course, they have all the support from their research teams and from the innovation unit of the Institute. Now, in terms of activities that concern education for innovation at the Cyprus Institute, that, as I said, can also accommodate externals, not only our staff and students. We have recently been awarded a grant from the European Institute of Innovation and Technology at the graduate school under the call of HEY Initiative Innovation Capacity Building for Higher Education. This call has as an aim to boost the innovation and entrepreneurship capacity of higher education institutes and to directly support the Deep Tech Talent Initiative, which is a flagship program of 8 and has as an aim to train 1 million deep tech talents by 2025. So our own successful project, 3D is the name, which stands for Nurturing Deep Tech Talents for Clean and Sustainable Energy Transition, was one of the 16 winning projects out of 48 submitted. And within 3D, both students and staff of our organization, as well as of other organizations, either within the consortium or outside the consortium, will be receiving training in the said topics. At the Cyprus Institute Graduate School, we also offer internships that are related to innovation. This can be under the summer internship program that we offer or under the year-round internship program. These programs are running for a few years with great success. We have increased demand every year. We receive applications from around the world, from internationally recognized universities, and the interns in these programs have the opportunity to receive hands-on training and personal mentoring by our researchers. And finally, we are currently in the design phase of executive courses This can be in different topics, definitely. Many of them will be related to innovation. They can be made tailor-made to the needs of specific groups, for example, employees of a company, of a specific company, and they can be offered through flexible modes of delivery. And I would like to mention here that this is another opportunity to collaborate through the adjunct industry professorships that I mentioned before. So apart from our conventional programs, we can also create for the provision of executive courses that will start being offered from maybe next semester. Again, we can discuss about this during the next session. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Leondio. There are a lot of opportunities for collaboration with our graduate school, so please feel free to discuss with Dr. Leondio during the networking session. Last but not least, Fabio, to discuss about what we are doing at Innovation.
Yes, and I saw that you went already through, I think, 85 slides, so I'll try to let you go to the coffee break as soon as possible, but it's more important to the conversation session of this event, which is for me the most important, really most important one. My master once, when I started dealing with this kind of business, he told me that innovation is art of conversation. And conversation is from the Latin, is conversare, so that means that it's dancing together. So what we are trying to build here, since when I came here 3 years ago, it's a practice of dancing between us, so it's a matter of collaboration in the research environment, but also dancing with external partners. I decided to start from this, which is about people, because I think that what we are really building here is this capacity of dealing both with research and with industry. So starting from myself with few hairs, but long ones. And then I want to show you Annixi there, because you will get in touch with Annixi soon if you want to deal with innovation in the Institute. Then I think you met Konstantinos in the registration desk. Danae is away for a training in Sweden, but she's very essential because she's dealing with the scouting of innovation and building up pathways to exploitation. And okay, all of you are fan now of Natalia, I suppose, because she has been so clever in building this event and putting all the knowledge about the way these kind of events have to be built. Well, we are more than a technology transfer office because this unit is built in a way which is generative. So we are not just waiting, our colleagues telling us, okay, I have an idea, let's bring this into the pipeline of technology transfer or knowledge transfer. But we have been trying to create the right, let's say, culture in the Institute. We have been trying to link the facilities and the structures together and to have a systemic approach. So we are looking for problems and systemic problems from the society, which could be taken by us in a way which is, let's say, creating value and impact for the society. You know that we have to be brave enough to go there. That's a big gap. It's a gap where a lot of ideas are dying because the researchers like very much to work on the low TRL, and the industries and in general, the government and the society is waiting for something which is really ready to use. So this is the gap, and we need a number of tools to approach the gap. So sorry for 2 slides of methodology, but I think it's very important to understand both internally and externally how we are trying to build this function here. One is this. You have to try, and we are trying, to move the mentality of the researchers from just the bore approach. So we like to make our own stuff. It's about curiosity, and we don't care at all about what the society is doing with this. It's a matter of a couple of 100 years, and somebody will make use of it. To a Pasteur approach, I like very much real problems from the society, but I enjoy to make science on top of it. And in very few cases, we can explore the Edison. So people making startups here, they are moving to explore this possibility of playing in the society and dealing with concrete problems without so much science in terms of fundamental science. The other point is that we, I mean the innovation unit, would be successful if we will disappear, in the sense that we are not the infrastructure, we are the, let's say, wooden bridge. So this way to make people staying and using us to conversate, to build a dialogue. So we will be everywhere, but this will be upon the scientists and the industries to find a way then to deal together. This means building procedures, entering IP, understanding how you have to share IP, being there whenever there is a conflict. But this is an infrastructure to make the true infrastructure, which is concrete, so it's very solid. It took some time. We started in 2016. Before my arrival, it was a study from Oxford Innovation. Now it's Oxantia, is the Oxford University technology transfer company. They built a study. The Unit Institute defined the goals, and we started creating capacity. I came here in late 2019, let's say with the pandemic, essentially. And I was told, let's try to build in the institute what you did in Italy before, which was essentially a technology hub. So we were making projects, we had facilities, we had a lot of people working around real cases where researchers and people from the industry, essentially SMEs, were working together and doing things together. So this was also a physical space where this interaction was, let's say, normal and on a daily basis. We opened the pipeline of IPR, and we have been using the IP Booster grants from the European Commission, and we started creating spin-offs also to explore entrepreneurial culture in the institute, which is paving the way to the conversation, because now a lot of people here, they know what is the life in SMEs. So how the owner of an SME is dealing with reality every day, from practical problems to the technology. And later we built a pipeline of projects which is helping us to innovate innovation, so to learn and invent new ways to approach the innovation management. We have a number of large projects now. It's a pipeline of about 2 million euros today. So it's helping us to bring forward the mission and also giving value to the Institute as a whole. And we connected the Institute with a number of platforms. So we brought the Institute in EIT with a focus on EIT Climate Kick, but the family of the European Institute of Innovation and Technology is a very, very important family we are approaching in the different levels. In the new European Bauhaus, we met with CYRIC in EBN many years ago. So my first idea was that the Institute as an associate should be in EBN, because we are breathing this culture of knowledge transfer. And we are also serving, so this is a test for the quality of our services. We are serving some European projects about innovation. So we have been consultant of the European Cluster Collaboration Platform, and we are serving the Horizon Result Booster pipeline. So we are offering services to improve business plans and exploitation approaches to other projects externally to the Institute, and this is a very, very good playground. Finally, just an highlight on what we are approaching as systemic innovation. We like very much to try to bring a big playground into the discussion and try to connect actors in the Institute, but the idea is that we will connect more and more SMEs around complex problems. One relevant playground is about cities, because cities are a very complex organism and you need to address many, many levels, from remote sensing to water and sewage management. So we are going to open a knowledge hub in Strovolos, which is a physical space paid by one of the projects we are managing. And this will host the local SMEs and specifically the creative industry SMEs. So we will make a space for them, working with us, with our colleagues, with a number of tools from Fab Lab to co-working spaces and meeting rooms. And another playground is Limassol, of course, because we are, as an institute, assisting the Limassol in the transition mission for zero carbon achievement. And there we will inject this approach of systemic innovation, which is the EIT climate kick approach, and this is the reason why also we are dealing with them on a methodological level. I think that's all, and it's just to add to what everybody here has been saying, which is for me the main result of what we did, that you see the embedded innovation, the innovation embedded in the centers. This is just something on top of it to let you know how we are creating this bridge for a bridge. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabio. Before we break for our coffee, just to inform you that the following session, the networking session, will be opposite the street in the Novel Technologies Laboratory on the first floor. So I hope you have, as soon as we finish the break, so in around 15 minutes, we can move to the first floor of the NTL building. Enjoy the rest of your day.